Fire and water and earth and the limitless vaults of air, the four elements. In context, key figures: Empedocles 492 to 432 BC, Aristotle 384 to 322 BC. Before, about the 6th century, the Greek philosopher Thales of Miletus asserts that all phenomena can be understood in natural, rational terms. After, in about the 8th century, Arabic alchemist Jabir ibn Hayyan expands the four-element hypothesis to include the sulfur-mercury theory of metals. In 1661, the Anglo-Irish natural philosopher and chemist Robert Boyle rejects the four-element hypothesis in favor of a theory that all matter is made of corpuscles. The ancient Greeks are credited as being the first people to ask, what is everything made of? Thales of Miletus, as reported in Aristotle's Metaphysics, said that water was the originating principle or arche of all things. Other philosophers of the time had different views. Heraclitus thought that the archer was fire, and Anaximenes of Miletus posted that the arch was air. Primal roots. The Sicilian-born philosopher Empedocles in the 5th century BC declared that all matter, including living things, was composed of four primal roots, in Greek rhizomata: air, earth, fire, and water. Materials were rarely pure, but instead were formed from combinations of different substances, and the ratio of those roots determined the nature of each substance. In his system, two powers act on the roots to cause changes: love, oh boy, which brought different kinds of matter together, and strife, which parted them. Empedocles also believed that all matter, whether alive or not, was in some way conscious. Empedocles' system was founded on philosophy rather than on experimental evidence. However, he did allegedly demonstrate that air was not just nothingness. Using a clepsydra, a water clock that measured the flow of water through a vessel with holes in the bottom and the top, Empedocles observed that if he placed the bottom hole under water, the vessel was filled with water. If he first put his finger over the top hole, the water wouldn't flow into the vessel. However, once he removed his finger, the water flowed in. Empedocles deduced that the air in the container was preventing the water from entering. Wow. Complementary qualities. The Athenian philosopher Plato, in his Timaeus, circa 360 BC, may have been the first writer to use the name element for the four basic roots. However, his student Aristotle provided the first definition in his work on the heavens. An element is a body in which other bodies may be analyzed and not itself divisible into bodies different in form. Aristotle held that all substances were a combination of matter and form. Matter was the material from which substances were made, while form gave a substance a structure and determined its characters and functions. He agreed with Empedocles that matter was formed from different ratios of air, earth, fire, and water. However, he believed that these existed only as potentials and not as things in themselves until they acquired form. Aristotle saw the four elements having different properties. Fire was hot and dry, air was hot and wet, earth was cold and dry, and water was cold and wet. To Empedocles' four elements he added a fifth, which came to be known as quintessence or ether, a divine substance that formed the stars and planets. In Aristotle's geocentric cosmos, ether was the lightest element and formed the outermost layer of the cosmos. Then, in descending order, came fire, air, water, and earth. Each element would always try to return to its natural level, so rain fell from the air to the earth and returned to the level of water. Flames rose from the earth toward the level of fire. Elementals are the primary constituents of bodies. Aristotle. The four elements theory became fundamental to alchemy. It also had a major influence on medicine. On the treatise of the nature of man in the 5th century BC, Hippocrates, the Greek father of medicine, associated the elements with four vital fluids, or humors, in the body: blood for air, phlegm for earth, yellow bile for fire, and black bile for water. The theory of the elements later spread to the Islamic world and from there back to Europe. It dominated thinking into the Middle Ages and beyond. It was not until the 17th and 18th century scientists such as Galileo Galilei and Robert Boyle promoted experimentation and observation over philosophy, that Aristotle's four elements were finally superseded. Aristotle, born in 384 BC in Macedonia, northern Greece, Aristotle became a student at Plato's Academy in 367 BC, later teaching there. Following Plato's death in 347 BC, Aristotle founded his own school, the Lyceum in Athens in 335 BC. Stories that he tutored the young Alexander the Great are probably a later invention, although he spent some time at the court of Philip of Macedonia, Alexander's father. Aristotle died in 322 BC at the age of 62. Aristotle promoted the concept of natural laws to explain physical phenomena. His writings range from philosophy, logic, astronomy, and biology, psychology, economics, poetry, and drama. His ideas dominated Western science and philosophy for nearly 2 millennia, until they were challenged by natural philosophers in the 17th century. His key works were Metaphysics on Generation and Corruption, and in circa 350 BC on the Heavens.